Maddie and Rob back with part 2, footy roundup, the second half. Matt, the Premier League it's kind of been, I guess, a foregone conclusion to some extent that Chelsea's very much in control here. City, they're trying to put a late surge. They did win 2-0 at Leicester City. What are some of the other results that caught your eye from the Premiership past week?
Yeah, I mean, the Premier League has kind of been, the last couple of weeks has been really all over the place with the FA Cup, midweek games,
rescheduling of games.
Obviously the Carling Cup with Tottenham and Chelsea, and it was kind of all over the place. So this week we had midweek games again. As you said, Man City beat Leicester 2-0. David Silva and Milner scored the goals there.
You're happy with Milner, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Keeps doing his
It's
thing
funny,
now.
I said that a couple of weeks ago about, he keeps scoring.
He's just shoving it to you
damn,
now.
he cannot stop scoring right now. But then also Chelsea went away to West Ham and won 1-0 thanks to an Eden Hazard goal. So the lead remains
He's
5.
He's okay, Hazard.
He's pretty good from what I hear, right?
Plays a little football here and there.
So the lead is still 5 points for Chelsea, but they do have that game in hand, which is against Leicester. I guess 5 points when you look at it is still manageable, but when you consider the fact that Chelsea have that game in hand, it gets a little
more.
Gets back up to likely 8 points, because I don't think Chelsea will drop points at Leicester. A couple of other results: Man United won 1-0 away at Newcastle. Ashley Young scored that goal. One of the weirdest goals all year. Goalkeepers dropping the ball, defenders clearing it into defenders. Somehow Ashley Young put it in the back post in the 89th minute. Liverpool continue to not lose. They beat Burnley 2-0. Henderson and Daniel Sturridge scoring the goals there.
Their form's really picked up.
They've been great. I think we said this last week. Like last season when they didn't lose after the Christmas break.
Surge,
They haven't lost again since the Christmas. I mean, they've been on fire the last. What are we into now? March, the last 2.5 months or so.
It's a strange team, Matt. Like, they seem like they were kind of coming apart at the seams. Lovren's been doing really poorly recently after a hot start. Lallana hasn't contributed, I don't think, nearly as much.
No,
Ricky Lambert's been pretty invisible. Like, all the Southampton guys, actually, which we thought was a huge asset for them, they've struggled by and large for this team for the most part. But I think them picking up results and getting a little bit hot, as you said, there's got to be some kind of good team dynamic here, I think. Like, they feel for each other, they work hard.
If they honestly can just figure out
Did you see Skirtle's injury too?
No.
Yeah, he went down. He took, I think, an elbow, and he was unconscious for, it looked like, a couple minutes. There was a 10-minute delay in the first half. It was like 6 minutes into the game. It was ridiculous. Like, he was just motionless, like completely down.
Was that the Burnley game or the FA Cup game against Blackburn?
I think it was the FA Cup game. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. It was a scary sight to see. But
Skirtle's had some really weird injuries over the years. Like, he's a tough dude.
He's an odd player too. Dude. Like, he plays very, very well, or he's an absolute disaster case at times. Like, it's super.
It's kind of like
David Luiz was. I was just thinking the same thing.
It's kind of like that, because
like, he comes up for a wonder goal, or he just gives you a free pass.
Some goals, right? Like, it's like you say. So
I gotta say, when I see Skirtle play, it's more often I see a bandage wrapped around his head than not. Like, I thought it was just part of his uniform at this point, like he was part mummy or something. But having said that, Matt, my point is, I think Liverpool, they're really pulling together, and it's kind of cool to see.
January to the end of the year, they're good. From
and
August
till
Gerard's
December,
leaving
too.
And Gerrard hasn't been playing; he's been injured, right? So, I mean,
maybe that distraction's a little bit gone too. Might help too.
Henderson has been phenomenal. For
Henderson
Liverpool.
has been.
He's been
very
absolutely
good.
Brilliant this year.
Yeah.
A couple of other results: Arsenal won 2-1 away at QPR. Olivier Giroud and Sanchez scored the goals there. Obligatory Robert Green error for QPR. But Charlie Austin scored for QPR there, and he
any relation to Stone Cold?
I wish. To have a Stone Cold Stunner in the middle of the ring to someone would be absolutely phenomenal. But Charlie Austin continues to score a lot of goals. Tottenham beat Swansea 3-2. Stoke beat Everton 2-0. A bit of a shocker there. And on Tuesday, in the earlier game, Southampton beat Palace 1-0. Hull City drew Sunderland 1-1. And Aston Villa beat West Brom 2-1 in a massive game for Villa. Benteke scored a penalty in the last minute after Ben Foster, for some obscene reason, decided he would try and dive for a ball that he was never going to get to after shoving his defender out the way. It's funny, you see Darren Fletcher in the corner, just what his facial reaction just goes from like, oh, we've got this, to oh no, and then his hands are on his head, and there's a penalty, and Benteke scores.
Matt,
massive 3 points for Villa.
You heard some interesting comments from KJ after that game too. I remember you told me about how he said that it looked like the match was fixed the way it shut down at the end.
Not fixed in the sense that,
or like they threw it or something.
Yeah, not fixed in any capacity. He wasn't implying that at all. But just like how bad the error was, it almost looked like he was trying to lose the game, because it was just absolutely stupidity.
It was just comical.
It was just that bad that you you can't help but think you didn't. Obviously, he
It
was genuinely
Sunday
trying
league
to play
stuff
the ball.
almost. Like beer league with the boys. And
Exactly,
just, yeah.
exactly. I mean, Ben Foster's an England international, and he's trying to get his place back to be in the contention for England. But with an error like that, I mean, it was suicide. It was absolutely, it was stupid. Talking to Villa and West Brom again, they played each other in the FA Cup as well on the weekend, and Aston Villa beat them again.
Good result for
Fabian
Villa.
Delph, somehow an England international, and Sinclair scored for Villa.
Same Sinclair he was on Chelsea, wasn't he?
Yeah, and the Man City guy. I forget
Yeah.
his first name right now.
I think it's Steve Sinclair.
I
I'm
don't know.
pretty sure it's Steve Sinclair.
Can't-
Been
I'll
playing a
Google
little
that
bit
in a
as
second.
City in FIFA,
played-
so
So
they
they
got a
won
deep
2-0.
budget, Matt. I can buy whoever I want.
Well, I don't know if that's the guy you want to be buying though.
Selling.
Bradford drew 0-0 with Reading, so there's a replay coming there. Liverpool drew 0-0 at home with Blackburn. A bit of a poor result for Liverpool, you have to say, there in their quarterfinal. And then today being Monday, big one this evening, Man United and Arsenal.
United. I don't know.
Excuse me. So yeah, I mean the FA Cup quarterfinals, a couple of big teams kicking around, but at the end of the day, I think whoever wins out of Man United Arsenal is going to be the team that are favourites to win the
Matty,
trophy,
the
that's for sure.
fixtures coming
If
up
not
this
Liverpool.
week, Arsenal, West Ham. I guess United, Spurs is probably maybe the big one. Chelsea, Southampton,
game, though.
Everton, Newcastle, and Swansea, Liverpool. Anything other than United, Spurs jumping out at you?
Chelsea, Southampton.
Mhm.
I mean, Southampton have dropped a little. They're down to 7th now.
They're hovering around 3rd, 4th for quite a while.
For a while,
there.
like they
Yeah.
look, Champions League looked legitimately
as a
was
possibility.
a possibility for them, but they've kind of fallen about. But they got to go from Maine in the week, 83rd or so minute against Palace to win 1-0. So yeah, I mean, there's a couple of decent games. Swansea Liverpool is a good game, like you say. 9th versus 5th. Liverpool 1 point behind United for the final Champions League spot. So a lot to play for, if anything.
For sure. Matty, moving on to La
Scott
Liga.
Sinclair is his first name. by the
Scott
way.
Sinclair from
Scott
City,
Sinclair.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
former City player, but Aston Villa now.
I knew the first name started with an S. Close enough.
What did you-
right?
you said Steve,
Steve
yes?
Sinclair,
Oh,
yeah.
not
I had
far off.
Steve Austin on the mind, I think. There.
Still trying to get over
go.
Stone Cold.
Yeah. Matty, moving on to La Liga.
I mean, the big result here is Real Madrid. 1-0 away, defeat to Athletic Bilbao. Adu Ruiz got the goal in the first
We might be
half.
hearing about that again before the show's over, actually.
I guess so. A little teaser action
Yeah.
from Robbie here. But yeah, I mean, no bones about it. Awful result for Real, and then comprehend that Barcelona just go and absolutely destroy Rayo Vallecano.
Look at how
6-1.
much can change in 2 weeks
Oh,
on that. It's wild. And I
it's-
think
the lead
there
was
may
up
be
to
a few more twists and turns between these two teams.
It was a
before it's
4-point
over.
lead for Real Madrid, 2 weeks
Yeah.
ago? And now they're a point behind. And not a good result for Real. Did you see the Gareth Bale shot that hit the crossbar?
I didn't know.
Shot from about 45 yards. And just an absolute rocket just came flying off the bar. Would have been hands down one of the goals of the year.
He's so good, too.
Oh, he's been unreal for Real Madrid.
I think someone should
So
teach him, though, to rock the headband that you need to have slightly longer hair than he's been having. He's been stuck at that same length for a while
He's had,
now.
yeah.
It looks a little absurd.
It does.
Just
but-
rocking the Alice band.
Barcelona got a hat-trick from Lionel Messi. I believe that's his 24th La Liga hat-trick, which is a new La Liga record. PK scored, and Luis Suarez has scored 2 more. He's really started to pick up the goals recently.
Yep.
Since he moved there, he's kind of a lot of assists with Neymar and Messi, but he's really started to score recently. Obviously, the brace at Man
There's
City
just
and stuff.
so much quality up front.
Oh,
Matt,
it's
that
scary.
They almost get lost within each other. Like Suarez, I mean, not scoring. He wasn't playing badly, though.
Not at all.
Yeah. There's
at
just so much weapons and options with that team. When
But,
they're
I mean-
spraying the ball around, it's ridiculous.
I mean, that's what you have up front, and you got Rakitic,
nasty,
you
yeah.
got Iniesta, Xavi, Busquets. Like it's endless, right?
Pedro's on it, yeah.
there too. And endless stuff. Sevilla continue to stay up towards the top of the table with an impressive 4-3 away win at Deportivo. So a good result for them. Valencia and Atletico Madrid was the other big game this weekend. Atletico drew 1-1. Koke scored the goal for Atletico, and Mustafi got the equaliser for Valencia.
It's not a bad result for both sides. And
It's
not
a
all
better
that
result for Valencia.
Yeah, it's not all that unexpected, but it hurts Atletico to be legitimately in this title chase with
But
not picking up
It hurts,
3.
but to that extent as well, you could argue it hurts Valencia, who are only 1 point behind Atletico.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Atletico are third on 55
But I mean,
points.
do we think Valencia can legitimately challenge for the top of the table? I
This
don't.
year, maybe not. They're only 8 points behind,
Mhm.
which is what the Premier League potentially will be when Chelsea play their extra game. But they have, maybe not this year, but I think maybe next year, add a couple of different bits.
Mhm.
I think Valencia could be back up there.
But I think Atletico was thinking legitimately this year, and now dropping points to this
Right.
level, it's going to be tough. It's going to be. I mean,
7
we'd have to look
points
at the
is a lot.
schedule to see if Atletico
to
still
turn
has
around.
heads up with Barca and Real. I'm not sure if they do or not.
Because they usually beat them when they do.
Yeah, or they at least get something out of the fixture.
Absolutely right. So, I mean, La Liga, maybe this year I think it's down to 2-horse race. I think Atletico and Valencia are just a little too much out. Sevilla...
They have an interesting fight for third down the stretch, though.
We do, because Sevilla are in 5th on 49 points. And you got Villarreal kicking around on 48 points in 6th. So it's not over by any stretch of imagination. Villarreal, what did they do? They beat Celta Vigo 4-1. So
the Liga is interesting this year for me, Matt. It's generally the Barca Real race with Atletico, springing something every couple of years. But even though there's a bit of that gap, there's a lot of quality in the La Liga table this year. Top 5-6 sides are strong.
It is. I think we said this a while ago. It's nice to see like Valencia back up there.
Yeah.
Sevilla the same. Obviously, remember like they had like Freddie Canute and these guys. They won the Europa League once or twice. So
Sevilla? Yeah, they won last year with Rakitich's captain actually before he moved on to Barca.
Yeah.
So they still have a solid roster.
Yeah, there. So I mean, they're right there. Maybe I don't know. Maybe they can't quite compete for a La Liga title, but I think we've seen it in recent years. Obviously, Borussia Dortmund in Germany, Atletico Madrid here in Spain.
Wolfsburg's doing some things.
Like teams are starting to not make it's not any longer a 2-horse race in a lot of these leagues.
I think it's just better for the casual neutral fan.
It's better just period, right?
It's just better for soccer.
Exactly, right? So,
Matt, the fixtures in the Liga.
Valencia, Deportivo, Espanyol, Atletico Madrid, Eibar, Barcelona, Real Madrid host Levante, and Sevilla face Elche. I think it said Elche. So,
Elche,
nothing that leaps off the page, really. I guess by namesake, Valencia Deportivo is the biggest game, but Deportivo are 1 point above relegation, so they need to start putting some results together to stay
maybe
out.
Atletico Espanyol. Espanyol is what, mid-table?
Yeah,
Atletico,
maybe. Yeah,
third.
It could be a bit of a trick game for
trap
Atletico.
kind of game. Yeah.
So, but yeah, nothing that really leaps off the page and screams this is going to be a good game to you.
Yeah, it's been that way for a little bit now. The last couple of weeks, there hasn't really been those.
Germany's
really
had the most
fixtures.
consistent games. Like every week in Germany. I think when we get to Germany here, we'll see there's a few more good games this week as well. So,
not to tease too far ahead, but onto Serie A.
Yeah, onto Serie A. Juve actually don't play until today. So no, they obviously have a game in hand on Roma, who again drew. Believe it or not, I feel like a broken record saying that.
It's almost like you don't even need to look at the result anymore.
I know.
It's been so like 3-4 ties in a row now.
It's I don't know. It's losing track, right?
Because the problem in soccer you have is you're not losing, but you're dropping 2 points, not one.
That's the thing.
Because it's 3 for the win.
I mean, Roma have only lost twice all year, which is fantastic.
They're 8 points out of first.
But they've drawn 11 games and won only 13.
You almost have as many ties as wins. That's wild.
It's insane. I mean, I think we said this last week, they turn half of those into wins. They're top
just
of the table.
Two. Even just 2. You're 2 points behind and nipping at Juve's heel.
4, because of the point.
Or 4, yeah.
Yeah, turn 3 or 4 of those into wins. You're tied for the top of the table. But Serie A was kind of a weird week. There wasn't a whole lot going on.
Just a bunch of nil-nils
draws
too,
and nil-nils. I guess to pick on a couple of results here. Sampdoria beat Cagliari 2-0. Sampdoria stays 6th in the league. But point here is Samuel Eto'o scored his first goal since going back to Italy. Milan drew 2-2 with Verona. Milan just continued. Last minute goal by Lopez. Milan just when can the season end? I think is basically
the two Milans. They just look mired in mid-table for the foreseeable future right now.
But Inter Milan drew 2-2 at Napoli, which is a good result. But Napoli were 2-0 up, and it took a last-minute penalty from Icardi to get the equalizer there. Like Altidore and like Luca Toni, who scored the first goal for Verona, Icardi scored a chip penalty.
Luca Toni?
Luca Toni.
The same Luca Toni?
That Luca Toni, the guy who's played for basically every Serie A team.
World Cup 06?
Yeah.
That's
I
wild.
like Luca Toni. He was a great player quite a few years ago. But yeah, he's still kicking around. I mean, I think he plays for a new team every year now. But
yeah, he's at that point.
Exactly, right? But
what are you going to throw at me next? Gilardino?
Yeah, exactly.
I heard that name in a while.
Yeah, where's he at these days? Find out for next week.
Yeah.
And Udinese won 3-2.
Yep.
Yeah, I wrote across the score for some reason. Di Natale, Kone, and Wagyu, I think is the name. For Udinese scored the goals there. Quagliera continued to score for Torino. So yeah, kind of a bit of a down week, I guess, in Serie A. Some good games, but quite a lot that kind of like MLS. So a couple of games that had quite a few goals, but the rest of it was quite.
It's kind of dull for the neutral right now, though. Juve's just I don't see any.
Serie A's
been
like this the last
locked up.
2-3 years, though, right?
So it's Juve's show, and everyone else just comes and goes.
Exactly. Juve away to Palermo next week. Inter plays Cesena. Torino Lazio is a pretty good game. Fiorentina Milan is also, as is Roma Sampdoria, and Napoli will look to stay third when they travel to Verona.
Matty, the last of the big four leagues, the previously mentioned Bundesliga, still has Bayern comfortably on top.
Yeah, well, Bayern won and Wolfsburg lost, so that pretty much
even more comfortably.
If there was any any suggestion that Wolves might be able to hunt them down,
bye-bye.
you can scrap that now. Bayern won 3-1 away at Hanover. Xavi Alonso and Thomas Müller scored twice, while Wolfsburg lost 1-0 away at Augsburg, which isn't, I don't know, it's not a good result, but Augsburg have been right at the top of the table for the whole season, so it's not a shock in that sense. A couple other results. Mönchengladbach drew 2-2 away at Mainz, but they were 2-0 up in that game. Raphael scored twice, but then Gies and Okazaki got the goals for Mainz. Kind of a disappointing 3 points, at least 3 points to drop, I guess, there, or 2 points anyway, because they got the away draw. Bayer Leverkusen won 3-0 away at our favourites Paderborn.
Yeah, Matt, I was going to ask you about that Paderborn result. After you finished crying based on the fixture scoreline, were you able to get some sleep seeing that Paderborn loss?
I think so. I think I was
you were okay.
Much more happier to see Bayer Leverkusen hammer them. Papadopoulos scored and Soon scored twice in the last. All 3 goals though came in the last 15 minutes, so it took a bit of late magic to pick up the result there. Schalke won 3-1 against Hoffenheim as they prepare to face Real Madrid this week, and Dortmund drew 0-0 at Hamburg, and Freiburg lost 1-0 home to Werder Bremen. Di Santo scoring probably the goal of the weekend from the left corner, from the left. I don't know, how am I trying to explain this? Penalty box, very top left corner of the penalty box, curled it right round into the top right hand corner.
Like the diagonal corner of the 18-yard box?
Kind of like when you shoot circle and R1 on FIFA, you know how you open the body and curl it right in the corner?
Oh, nice little like chip session there. Yeah,
basically. So a good result for them. A good goal, I should say, for them, and a good result too. So Wolfsburg stay second behind Bayern. They're 11 points back now. But they
the
really
gap
got that
is just absurd from first to second to third, and then there's just a mess.
First to third is 20 points.
Yeah, and then third to what, 9th is 10?
Yeah, or if you want to be closer, third to 6th is 2 points, 3 points.
It's packed heavily in the middle of the pack. Wolfsburg,
Schalke,
head and shoulders above anyone but Bayern head and shoulders above everyone in the Bundesliga. The most, I guess, formality table right now out of the top 4, even more than Serie A.
Easily.
This is so over.
And then Dortmund are in 10th with a draw. But the good thing about Dortmund is they haven't lost now. Again, I think that's 5 weeks now they haven't lost. So Dortmund,
strange team.
Dortmund is safe now. I mean, they're 6 points clear of Paderborn for the last relegation spot. So I think they're going to be good.
Yeah, Matty's just got his fingers crossed that Paderborn doesn't go down. He'd love to talk about them next season.
We still might if they get relegated. We might start covering the second league in Germany.
Yeah, maybe they'll win the title and come back up.
Hamburg as well, just for note, are 15th. They're 2 points clear of the relegation zone.
I'd like to see them stay up.
Yeah, same here. And Stuttgart are bottom, for those who don't know. They drew 0-0 with Hertha Berlin at the weekend on Friday night. So, Germany has some... interesting results kicking around, that's for sure.
How about the fixtures, Matty?
Leverkusen plays Stuttgart, so that's a tricky game for Stuttgart. Werder Bremen hosts Bayern Munich, that's going to be a good game. Hoffenheim hosts Hamburg. Wolfsburg hosts Freiburg. Dortmund play Cologne, and Augsburg hosts Mainz. So a couple of, I think Werder Bremen Bayern Munich is a nice looking tie there. So.
It might be the best, I guess, tie between the 4 leagues. It's pretty close.
Yeah, absolutely right. So, yeah.
Matty, moving on to studs and duds. I'll lead it off today. I've been, I think justifiably, to some extent, a little bit hard on TFC. I don't think, they've done bad things. I think they're trying. It's just, the frustration and a little bit of ambivalence in the city. But I got to give them their props for this result.
Absolutely.
They go into Vancouver 3-1. Altidore, Giovinco, the two, marquee signings in the offseason, both fantastic, both influential. Altidore looks like a guy happy to be here, too. At the end of the game, he had a long embrace with Bradley. He was kissing the crest in front of
reason why he came to Toronto.
Yeah, in front of the TFC fans. And I think, Matt, an underrated element here, I think making this officially Michael Bradley's team with the armband is a good thing.
Right.
There was a lot of debate about, stripping it from Caldwell. Maybe Caldwell's a little better without all that responsibility, and he just, focuses on his defending. And he doesn't strike me as a leader type the way Bradley does anyways.
Even immediately, it seemed weird that they even gave it to someone but Bradley when he signed.
Yeah, you just kind of knew that writing was on the wall with that anyways. But long story short, I think TFC, they deserve full marks, full credit for their result. They're my stud this week. And I will give an honorable mention to Montreal. Their loss in MLS notwithstanding, for coming up with that really exciting, fantastic late strike against Pachuca to go through in the Champions League. But my stud is Toronto FC for this week.
Yeah, I'm going with Aston Villa. 2 huge results. 2 derby games against West Brom, Midlands derby. 2-1 win in the league. Obviously, we mentioned earlier about Benteke's last-minute penalty on the Foster error to give the penalty away, and then they follow that up. I mean, the 3 points is bigger than an FA Cup win. There's no question about that for Villa right now. Villa are a huge team. It would be crazy to see them in the Championship. So they really need to, obviously the 3 points there, give them an opportunity to stay up. potentially. Anyway, they're out of the relegation zone now, 3 points clear of QPR. And then they follow that with a 2-0 win in the FA Cup against Albion again. You can't argue that. 2 wins, 2 games one game you had to win, one game that you really wanted to win in the FA Cup. They got results done both times. So yeah, Villa are definitely my stud this week.
Matty, my dud, just very short and sweet, 2 quick words. Real Madrid losing 1-0 to Athletic Bilbao, now dropping from first to the table to second behind Barcelona. I do expect a few more twists and turns. I mean, I think it was just 2 weeks ago where Barca was my dud after blowing a result as well.
Right.
So they're my dud, but I do expect that this chase isn't over yet. I think it's going to go back and forth a couple more times before it's all settled.
Yeah, I think there weren't. This week was one of those weeks there wasn't, apart from Real Madrid, there weren't really any real duds out there. I think a bit picky, but I'm gonna take the Revolution getting blasted by the Sounders. I think just ugly. More than any, it was ugly. Yeah, I think just more than any, there wasn't really any other massive duds this week. Maybe Napoli dropping points home to Inter.
Yeah, you consider what the season the Revolution had to just.
To go to
losing,
MLS
I don't think is a big deal here.
But
losing in that fashion, they weren't even in the game.
Night.
Yeah,
they didn't look close at all. So yeah, I would say Revolution. Maybe a little harsh. You can maybe hold me to that a little, but that Revolution on my dud.
Maybe they'll turn it and we'll see the result and they can be your stud next week.
Maybe that's happened a few times already, right? Turn it
around.
So.
I know. I'm waiting for Real to be my stud the very next
7-0
week,
or something. Yeah.
which may very well happen.
So yeah, Villa my stud, Revolution on my dud for the week.
That's it for Footy Roundup. Thanks for listening.